To be honest with you, until last night, I was not sure whether I can make it today. I had a series of appointments worked out from 8:30 and 10:30 and so on and so forth. But then I saw these clips in the internet saying Art Tugade is coming. Imagine if I don't show up. I'll be in deep shit. You know? And so I forced myself to come here and rearrange my schedule. One, to say thank you to Richard and the CEO Forum, who has been so good to me. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back. Secondly, I see a number of familiar faces. Kung gusto nyo, wala nang speech, mag-open forum na lang tayo. And I think it could be more in-depth. In fact, I asked Richard this morning, can we just do away with the speech and just do an open forum? In that way, we can be very incisive and direct to the point. But he said, no, you have to speak. Okay, I have to speak. But since you want me to speak, there are some observations which I would like to make very clear today. I came here not because of any fees. I came here not because of any consultancy payments. I came here because I believe in what the forum would like to achieve. I came here because I wanted to say thank you to Richard. I came here because I wanted to say thank you to the forum, the CEO Asia Forum, because they have been very good to me. In fact, the first time I interacted with the CEO Forum was some 5 years back, when I never knew Asia CEO Forum existed. Until one day and behold, we were called to attend the awards night of the Asia CEO Forum. Then I was then the president of the Clark Development Corporation, and we attended. We thought that we'll just be attending night where people will be called on stage to receive their trophy. We never expected that we attended. It's one of the finalists of the CEO Executive Leader of the Year, you know. And so I said, me? You know. And the second award, which I have been very grateful to the Asia CEO Forum, was the award adjusting the Clark Development Corporation as the best managed corporation for the year in the CEO Forum. The first time I was given that award. And that was my first interaction with the Asia CEO Forum. Because of that incident, the interaction never ceased. They asked us to attend here, attend there, speak here, speak there. And I said, that's the effect we have to pay for being adjusted at that time, the best Asian corporation, managed corporation during that year. Right, Richard? So, walang katapusang pagbabayad, you know. And so that's why we are here today. But anyway, we are here today because of build, build, build. The three words build, build, build has become a battle cry of the Dutertes administration. Build, 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 build. You guys, all of you, are all businessmen, like me once upon a time. Can you tell me of any nation or any country for that matter who has grown and developed and grown tremendously and developed tremendously without building infrastructure? This is a reality which we have to live with. This is a reality that we have to follow if this country, if this nation will sustain a development and a growth that will be giving to the Filipinos and to our neighboring Asian countries the saying, what's for us because we are coming for you, we are growing as fast as you can grow. Build, 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 we build the structure. And that is why when President Duterte first assumed, he said, we must have a platform upon which the development, the economic development and economic growth of this country upon which it will be based. And so the economic cluster designed what we call build, build, build. And we said, Mr. President, we should build infrastructure. We explained the platform upon which we wanted to create and upon which this administration will stand so that the economic growth and development can be developed and sustained. Ang sabi po ng ating Pangulo, I believe in that concept, and to show you that I believe in this concept, I agree to allot more than 7 trillion pesos in the infrastructure development of this country. And most of those 7 trillion pesos infrastructure will be carried by 2 departments, the Department of Public Works and the Department of Transportation. And why is this so, Richard? Because as you grow and as you develop infrastructure, you wanted to achieve, and you want to achieve, connectivity and mobility. As you build, you must assure the people in the surroundings that there is mobility and connectivity. And that's what the infrastructure is all about. We say build, 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 and the consequence of that equation is connectivity and mobility. Today, in the limited time that is offered to us, we speak not of the general infrastructure developments on this country, but Richard told me, stick to transportation. And that's precisely what I'm going to do right now, to stick to what the Department of Transportation should do in the area of building infrastructure, in the area of achieving mobility and connectivity. 4 areas which the Department of Transportation is paying attention to in transportation. The area of the airport, air, of the railroad, rails, the area of maritime, the area of road. I intend to present to you in generic form, and sometimes I will be very specific in telling you what this government has done, what this administration has accomplished in barely 2 years. Things and matters which have been pending and which has been held in abeyance for many years back. You know, as I stand here, I remember this race during the election when President Dutertes decided to run and aspire for the presidency. There were various issues raised. One issue was, we have the worst airport in the world. Number 2, the issue was, where the hell are the driver's licenses? Where the hell are the car plates? Those were the issues. And the issue was, where are the projects that have been projected and committed? Nothing, nothing at all. As I stand here today, those campaign and election issues of saying NAIA is the worst airport, as I stand here today, ladies and gentlemen of the Asia CEO Forum, no longer is NAIA and Terminal 1, 2, 3, and 4 included in the list of worst airport in the world. It is now included in the list of most improved airport in the world. We made those lists? No, sir. A Filipino corporation made that list? No, sir. That list was done and formulated by international organizations committed to making sure that airports in the world are safe, secure, reliable, and comfortable. And so we have shifted from the worst to the most improved. That is an achievement. Where are the licenses? People would complain. They will say, the licenses is a piece of paper, you know, soiled and easily crumpled. Today, as I speak, many of you, if not all of you who have secured your new licenses, you have a license that is formally, can be referred to as a formal license, in a plastic cover, not easily crumpable, but more importantly, with a validity of 5 years. That is the situation now. Okay, Mr. Tugade, you have the licenses. Where are the car plates? We have started manufacturing the car plates a month ago. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen of this forum, as soon as I reach the critical mass of 500,000 plates, we will be distributing those car plates between the month of September and October. Never before. Car plates? 5 years. Ano yung car plates? Isang piraso ng yero na pinutol mo at linagyan mo ng numero? Hindi po. Ito ho ang car plates which are scientifically designed, filled with technology applications, so that we hope that the car plates, once we pass on the instrument, we will know the history of that car plates, the medical coverages of the car plates, and we can stop the validity of these car plates online. Masyadong technology-oriented. And more importantly, 5 years din yata yun, it's year to year. And then it is our hope that the renewal of the car plates, the renewal of the licenses will all be online. It is also our expectation, and listen to this. Sir, when you buy a car in the future by next year, when that new car drives out of the casa or the dealership, those accredited dealership, that car will come out of their shop already with their car plates. Less than 2 years. Less than 2 years. MRT3. You see, putang na gusto mo MRT3? You want to put me on the spot, okay? MRT3. When we assume, sir, do you take the MRT3, sir? No? No? Sometimes no. It's for the poor. Do you take the jeepney? No, it's for the poor. That is the problem of our system. We have designed a transport system such that we say the jeepneys are for the poor, the one wearing suit, the one wearing polo barong, and spunky shoes like me will not ride the jeepney and the MRT. That is wrong. We will adopt an efficient transport system that will be for all. We will modernize the transport system, aircon, with CCTV, with Wi-Fi, high chair. Why? Because we want an efficient, integrated transport system to be an equalizer in the public, meaning to say, us wearing suit and anybody, even with the slippers, can ride together the transport system. And so they say, why are you doing away with all dilapidated jeepneys? Why? Because they kill people. Why? Because they are inefficient. Why? Because they destroy the greening of our surrounding. Why? Because they leave behind carbon footprints that will kill people. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, how many more lives would you like to be lost? How many more people would you like to be injured simply because we are using a dilapidated transport system? This has got to stop. If you want to rally and say, I am against employment, go ahead, rally. But those rallies will not stop me from modernizing our transport system for making it efficiently integrated. And so there are the issues then. MRT3, let's go back to MRT3. Every day, when we assume since the month of January, almost every day, there was an unloading incident. From 38 people being unloaded to 1,000 people being unloaded. Today, as I speak, for the last 28 days, except for yesterday, and I'll tell you the reason why there was an unloading. Wala naman unloading. Why? Because now we brought in the spare parts. Why? Because we brought in the engineers. Because we are now doing a preventive maintenance system. These things were forgotten in the past, and that is why the MRT never operated as efficiently and as comfortable as we would like it to be. Have we achieved a perfect situation? Absolutely not. The old MRT is old. The old MRT is, deteriorated. There's got to be a huge maintenance program to be done. There's got to be a regular stocking up of spare parts so that when something happens, the spare part is ready and available. What happened then when we assume there's a problem with one unit? We go to the depot, no spare parts. What do you want me to do? And people will say, stop the MRT, repair it first. Are you kidding me? If I stop the MRT, and you have a daily passenger usage of 280,000, you want me to stop? Of course I will not stop. Why? Because the technical people told us it is not yet in a position that is life-threatening. It will create inconvenience, but not life-threatening. Imagine, Richard, if I stop it, 200,000 a day? How many in 1 month? Ma'am, 6 million. How many in 1 year, sir? 80 million. You want me to stop? Are you kidding me? It's not life-threatening. So we continue and manage within our own capacity. As we stand today, for 28 days, there has been no unloading since, I'm told, 2011. And so the situation has improved. There has been an unloading yesterday. You know what happened, ma'am? This idiot of a passenger, wanting to get into the train, went to the door and started opening it. Naturally, it will stop. Because of management? Dahil sa tarantado na yun? And that is why my people, the security guard, arrest them, arrest them. It's also an issue of discipline. While it is a responsibility that is given to us of maintenance and operation, there is equally a responsibility for the riding public. Have discipline. Have discipline. And together we will have an MRT that is operable. But then, as I tell you about these election issues, let's go to the subject matter which I'm supposed to talk to. I said, I want to talk about the airports. The airports, they said, we are now one of the most improved. Do you know, sir, why the Philippines is now one of the most improved? I'll tell you. We are now in a program to make sure that all operating airports, more than 40 airports, will be night-rated. Meaning to say, night-rated, those airports can operate beyond sunset. The situation then, when we assumed there were only 9 night-rated airports. When we finished the first term, we increased this to 14. This year, on the second year, we will do another 6 more, and so on and so forth until the end of the term of the president. So that by the end of the term of President Duterte, we would have night-rated all the commercially operational airports in the Philippines, more than 40 all. E ano naman ang importante ng night-rated? Simple ho. Night-rated, it's more secure. Night-rated, it's more predictable. Night-rated because it is important that we operate even after sunset. Kayong mga nasa Tuguegarao, kayong mga nasa Tacloban, kayong mga nasa, all this, you can now leave your place of departure past sunset, and therefore the utilization of NAIA becomes expanded. Whereas before, it is limited after 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. Ngayon, pwede na ho 24 hours. That is one reason, major reason, why the punctuality performance of this country was increased from barely 50% to more than 74%. That makes us online in terms of international standards. The punctuality record was dramatically increased. Bakit minsan may delay? Talagang minsan may delay kasi hindi naman 100% yung punctuality. 74%. Mababa? No. International, the average is less than 70. We are doing 74%. In other words, we are a better cluster of airports in terms of standards in punctuality. What are we doing? When we joined, sir, there were only 3 radars in the Republic. Don't forget that the Philippines is an archipelago. Many islands. Pero 3 radar lang. What happens to security? What happens to predictability? What happens to the reliability of flight, landing and takeoff? All a big question mark. As I speak, we have completed the installation of additional 10 radars. That makes a total of 13 radars in the Republic. And we house it all in a facility which we call the Communication, Navigation, Surveillance, and Traffic Management System, where it's like a James Bond movie. I hope you can visit Kaap. Bigger than this place, several stories building, and you will see surrounding anything that flies in the open skies, you will see. Pati sa ringgola ni Pepe, makikita mo. That makes traveling by air more predictable, and therefore you can address punctuality. That addresses traveling by air with safety because you now know what are the objects that flies in and out of the country. It will now be, alam nyo, internationally, every time there is an airplane that flies, meron hong sinisingil dyan dapat, yung overfly ng mga aeroplano. Kung wala kang facility na ganyan, you will never know. You will never know the exact overflies, and you'll never be able to collect. Now, you have a system. Anyone that flies, you pay. Anyone that flies will secure the open skies. Anything that flies, we can secure reliability and predictability. And these are the simple structures that we have put up. Now that I see Ma'am with all your jewelry, about laglag bala. Hindi ko naman sinasabing bala yung pan mo dyan, Ma'am. Diamond. Ilang karat yan, Ma'am? Ikaw, you know, one time, remember the laglag bala? There's this stupid policy that when one travels with one bullet without a gun, hold. You know, you cannot leave. You go, where are you from, sir? Portugal. When you go to Portugal, you bring a Swiss knife. Inside, do they stop you from traveling? What do you do, sir? You give the Swiss knife. You want to get it back when you return, you get it back. Why can we not do the same with the bala? Instead of filing cases and holding them. The last incident, the last incident, Ma'am, was a grandma. age I think 75, get a bala as an amulet. This is my first time I travel on air. This is my amulet to make sure I'm safe. Putang ina. Nung nakita, they detained her at the airport. One bala without a bullet. So it was just change of policy. Just use common sense. I said, the bala, leave behind and let them go. Subukan mo magdala ng maraming bala. One roll of machine gun bullets or whatever bullet you want. Of course I will detain you. One bala, go ahead, travel. Have you heard of laglag bala now, ma'am? It's all because of change of policy. So these are the things that have been done. I was talking with some people from Korea. Where are they, sir? You are involved in Puerto, Princesa? Announcement. We opened Puerto Princesa last year. Go there and you'll see a beautiful airport. Barely a month ago, I opened San Vicente, open for commercial traffic. San Vicente, you don't know San Vicente? You know San Vicente is a place where you have 34 kilometers stretch of white sand. Go visit it. We open it. But how about me from Ilocos? I made Tuguegarao night rated. And then the Lalo Airport we opened for commercial operation. In other words, airports are being completed, airports are being operational. Announcement. By June 7 of this year, we will open Terminal 2 of Cebu. Again, to be fully operational. Mactan Cebu International Airport is the first resort airport to be open. How about the other places? Have you heard of Panglao, sir? Panglao in Bohol? You go there, sir. It's another beautiful place. Another announcement. It is targeted by August of this year. This year, that airport will be fully operational. So airports are coming up. Sir, I was talking with you earlier, Dumaguete, and you told me you're already looking at it. I want to be able to finish the airport in New Dumaguete, the new airport in Dumaguete, by 2022. So airports are being put up. Why? Because what I said earlier, connectivity and mobility. Of course, Clark International Airport. We just opened the bid, started the bid of O&M last Monday. Soon, the Clark International Airport will be operational with a new terminal and developed runway. And so it will become supplementary to or complementary with the NAIA Terminal 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tacloban cannot be set aside. Tacloban we have improved. After undergoing and undertaking a devastation, we are ready to put new life to Tacloban, developing not only the runway, the shore protection, and even the terminals. But also more importantly, even the ancillary improvements are being done and completed. Same formula as to be adopted. Davao will soon, put into the procurement bidding mode, as well as Bicol. So these are the things which we want to put up for the airports. Why? Again, because we want connectivity and we want mobility. I ask you, in the last administration, I say this and I ask this not to fault anybody, but only to have a comparable point. I ask you, how many airports, new airports were put up in the last administration? How many? How many? Your silence is very deafening. But how many new airports do we put up in barely 2 years? stretch your imagination if we are here to stay in a full term of another 4 to 5 years. And then you will see an entire gamut of airport development. I see a gentleman here who made an offer, or he's making an offer on Sangli. Let me talk about the aviation roadmap of this administration. How about Bulacan? Bulacan has approved, or rather the Department of Transportation has approved the unsolicited proposal on Bulacan. It was submitted to NEDA, and NEDA has approved the development of Bulacan for a new international airport as an addition to Clark, as an addition to NAIA. In approved. The plan is to put up several runways, and they telling us that 1 or 2 runways will be completed in 3 years. We said, go ahead, put it up. Sangli. Some people are making an offer to develop Sangli. The government is looking very closely on doing Sangli as a general aviation hub, at the same time considering it to be a full-blown operational airport. Right now, there is one unsolicited proposal, and soon to be submitted, and I hope it is soon, a proposal to do a G2G arrangement between the province of Cavite and the Republic to do an airport in Sangli. And then there is an offer to develop and improve NAIA 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first offer then was 7 Taipans, I think, made an offer, and they said, give us a concession 5 years. I said, what? 35 years. And I said, what? 35 years. What? No. I can't accept 35 years. Why? Because theoretically, I told them that if we are able to develop the airports in 35 years, there may be no need for NAIA. You know what we can do with NAIA, sir? Who are in real estate developments here? Ma'am, if we try to convert that into a real estate, with all the airports burgeoning and developed, we would have spelled a treasure diamond mine for the Republic of the Philippines. And now you tell me you want to tie me up for 35 years? You must be joking, you know. And then they said 15 years. Okay, so they submitted 15 years. We will do now a discussions on whether that is reasonable or realistic. But then I will ask, how much do you pay the government on NAIA 1, 2, 3, and 4? You know why, sir? Because NAIA 1 is cash flow positive. You are all businessmen. And our positive cash flow last year, 7 billion. In other words, what am I trying to say? If I do my developments, my own cash flow can support development. I don't know. And so that if you want to develop, make sure you have payments to the government. And there are so many conditionalities which we will be discussing. Since it is an unsolicited proposal, I hope you will understand that I cannot discuss very minute details at this point in time. And so this is what the airport and the aviation road map looks like. Let's go to railways. Do you know that presently there are only 77 kilometers of railways in the Philippines? 77 kilometers railways. In terms of objective and target, the Dutertes administration is set to complete not 100, not 200, not 500, but 1,900 kilometers of railways. Again, I ask you, in the administration, how many new railway systems have been put up? I'm just asking. Would you know, ma'am? No? Kayo, Jose, would you know how many railways past administration have put up? Like the airport, your silence is very deafening. And so, we have a cross program on put up railway systems. Where will the 1,900 kilometers, 1,200 plus 77, no? Where will they come from? One is the PNR Clark Railway System from Tutuban to San Fernando to Angeles Airport, Clark International Airport. When will you start this? Already started, sir? We have already done the mobilization and clearing. We already have started the realignment of utilities. Mayroon bang taga-Meralco rito? Wala. Oh, maybe that's why they did not show up, because I will make them commit in public. We are doing the realignment of utilities and we are doing the right-of-ways. When this is completed, we hope that we'll be able to do a connectivity between Tutuban and Clark, and you travel less than 1 hour. There will also be express rails that will handle the passengers going to Clark. Ganun yun. There has been lots of talks in the past about this system. It never flew, it never materialized. We have started, and we are committed to the President. And the President is personally monitoring us. Make sure that in 2.5 years, that Tutuban Malolos is completed. And by 2022, thereabouts, the entire stretch of Tutuban to Malolos to San Fernando to Angeles would have been completed. A total of 600, no, that's wrong. It is 107 kilometers. 653 kilometers relates to the Bicol Express. All of you, even when we were young, we heard about Bicol Express. How ideal and idyllic to travel by the Bicol Express. Now, you travel on PNR Kadiri, you know. We will now try to improve that, not only in terms of maintenance and cleanliness, but in terms of route, in terms of length. This year, and we are doing already the procurement processes, we will start making the PNR Batangas, Calamba to Bicol a reality, so that there will be connectivity and mobility. Is this planned? No. We are already about to start our procurement. And so, minadali yung Manila subway, icing on the cake dapat yan eh. Manila subway. When I first opened my mouth, everybody was in doubt. When I first opened my mouth on the subway, they said, hindi mangyayari yan. Pangako lang yan. Sir, the Manila subway, the actual construction will start before the end of this year. We have the funds, we have the loan arrangement, we have the technical people coming from Japan. Originally, it was envisioned to start next year, by the second quarter of next year. Because of coordination, cooperation, and almost weekly meeting with the engineers, we will start now, advance the Manila subway before the end of this year. Complete? No. 3 stations. The stations, North Avenue, Mindanao Avenue, Tandangsora, with Valenzuela as the place for depot, and where I will put up the first ever railway institute. Meaning to say, as we develop infrastructures on the rails, we have to make sure that the people that will run, operate, and manage those railway systems, including the subway, will have the technical background on how to manage. Dream? No, sir. I have signed up with JICA, and we will bring in the Tokyo Railway Institute to help us. In fact, they already promised and committed to donate the simulators in that institute. And so there will be complementary arrangements. As we put infrastructure, we make sure we train and develop and improve the skills of people operating the trains. Because if we do not put that component, it will just be a matter of time that that subway and all the other railways we put up will soon be dysfunctional. Okay, so how many more hours do you want me to speak? You know,
It's your show, sir.
my show? You want me to dance? And so this is the railway system. But the railway system will not be complete. If we talk about improvement in Central Luzon, we talk about improvement in Big, we must also talk about the improvements in Mindanao. And that is why we have what we term as now railway system. Hopefully, before the end of the President Duterte, the Mindanao railway system will be rolling and operational, covering the area of Dagum, Davao, and Digos. The entire stretch will cover more than 1,500 kilometers. The first phase will cover more or less 600 kilometers. And so there will be a complete national structure, connectivities of railway system operating in the Philippines when the term of the president will be finished. From 77 kilometers to 1,900 kilometers. Easy target, sir? No. No. It is very difficult. But we are going to do it because the president says the most difficult we do right away. The possible will take a little time. And that's how we challenge ourselves. I talk about MRT. There will be also connectivity in Metro Manila. Soon, in fact, we are starting already. Natatraffic kayo sa Commonwealth. Pasensya na lang muna, ma'am. Kasi we are putting up that stretch of MRT 7 ba yun? 6? From Commonwealth to Del Monte. And then we will also have an MRT connection from Baclaran to Cavite. This will all be done. When? We hope to complete it all during the term of President Duterte. I have met with many of the proponents and the project proponents of this railway system. I meet with them very regularly. I'm very hands-on, and I'm confident that the LRT2, the MRT 5 or 6 will all be completed within the term of the president. Consider it a dream? No. In due time, it will be a reality. But what is the icing about all this railway system and subway? It will be the common station. Do you remember that time when we entered and we started the term of the president? There was a big fight on the common station. By 4 Taipans, in fact, they filed cases in the Supreme Court, or one Taipan filed a case in the Supreme Court. Barely 6 months when we entered, all the Taipans, showing their faith and confidence in President Duterte, agreed. Before, they fight each other. Now they agreed. So we are putting up the common station. What the heck is this common station? A common station that will be interoperable. Meaning to say, LRT will pass. It will pass. the subway will pass on the common station, so there will be a big movement on the common station. Develop the common station underneath and around it. We will have buses and jeepneys operating. A dream? No, sir. It's already a plan in the process of being implemented. Pasensya na lang muna kayo kung may traffic as we put this construction. What do you want, ma'am? 3 years of traffic congestion, of 20 years of smooth traffic flow? Make your choice. And this is where I ask you to be understanding with the project. This is traffic is a necessary consequence, be temporary. And I ask you and I beg you for your understanding. And so I have given you a bird's eye view of the rails. Anong susunod? Road. Road. Traffic. Let me just make it very clear. And when I make this notation, it's not that I'm washing my hands. Traffic is not in our alley. Traffic is MMDA. Traffic is LGU, which the Department of Transportation has no say. Traffic is LT. We issue licenses and plate numbers. Traffic is LTFRB because they issue franchises. The day-to-day traffic that passes along the highway, the day-to-day traffic that traverses the ancillary road is not us. We are there. Paano ka napasok dyan? You know, when we assumed there was no MMDA, there was no chairman and general manager. So the president said, tumulong ka muna dyan. So tumulong tayo. We wanted passage of emergency power. Some people don't like to listen. How can you control or how can you manage the cooperation of local government when there is no legislation? They say this is our domain. Even barangay. There was a barangay election. Barangay control the barangay roads. Barangay control even the tricycles. That's not us. Who issues the prangkisa or permits? It's not us. Barangay, the local government. But again, that is the reality we have to live with. But what is our responsibility? Our responsibility is to make sure that the terminals that operate along EDSA, that the terminals that operate in Pasig, in Quezon City, and in Pasay will have to be rationalized, and therefore, and true indeed, I said, we have to put up integrated terminals all over Central Luzon so that we will have the ammunition to say, lahat ng mga terminal na yan, umalis kayo sa EDSA, umalis kayo sa Pasay, umalis kayo sa Pasig, at umalis kayo sa Quezon City. And therefore, we are putting terminals. There is one terminal, world-class, that will be inaugurated by July, quietly being completed in Parañaque, where it is really a terminal. You will know what time vehicles come in and what time vehicles get out. You will know the facilities that are there will be world-class, waiting shed, automated, technology-oriented. Same concept will be placed at FTI. Soon it will be groundbroken and another terminal will be put up. I have come into an agreement on the north, together with the property of, alam niyo yung Iglesia ni Cristo? There's a huge property there. I have issued provisional authority on a non-exclusive basis for a provisional terminal to be put there. And then on the eastern, we have the Bayani Fernando. Lagi kong mas popular sa akin yung Bayani Casimiro. Bayani Fernando. So there will be integrated terminal systems all over Metro Manila in the hope that it will add the flow of traffic. I must say at this time, at madami hong naniniwala kay Presidente Duterte. Many businessmen that have shown their faith, trust, and confidence in this government. To show their faith, trust in the government, I will have to tell you, Richard, the proponents were in their contract before, the government will still pay them. One is 270 million a year for the next 35 years. The other is 120 million a year for the next 35 years. Why the difference? Because of the size. For these businessmen to show their love, faith, and trust in President Duterte and this administration, those two proponents have agreed to waive and set aside the payments of 2.7 million for 35 years and 124 million for the next 35 years. All total, more or less, 12 billion savings in cash flow. This is the spirit, the core of businessmen now. They are willing to shed something to show their faith and trust in the government. And I bow my head to them. Because they did a good job, I will mention them. One is the Ayala group of companies, Ayala Real Estate. The FIT Taguig. The other is a mega-wide corporation that is in Parañaque. They have not only afforded us with the facility to help address the issue of congestion, they have shown that they are ready to put their wallet into their mouth to prove their faith, trust, and confidence in President Duterte's administration. Some businessmen here, you are collecting from government fees. Maybe today after the meeting you told me, I waive also. I waive also. You know. Then we could have imparted a message not only from within, but more importantly from without. Of course, I spoke a little bit about modernization. Rallies will not stop me. I will implement the modernization program. You know, they said, I'm the enemy of hanap buhay. Pwede ka naman maghanap buhay, wag ka lang pumatay. Pag hindi mo binago yung jeep mo, pag hindi mo binago yung sasakyan mo, papatay ka ng tao. View and imagine the accidents that happened in the past when all passengers, except for 1 and 2, all dead, falling into a ravine, and like, you know, a can of sardines, they were pressed together. You want that to continue? That has got to stop. The smoke belchers, you want that to continue? That has got to stop. Magrally ka, putang ina mo, you know. Itutuloy ko yung modernization program. They said we are against employment. No, this government is not. As we say you modernize, we are not forgetting you. We have designed what we call the 5, 6, 7, 80,000 formula. What is that 5, 6, 7, 80,000 formula? For the bankers here, 5% equity, 6% interest, 7 years term, 80% subsidy going to the bank. And if you manage it well, and you should manage it well, the equity may be gone. And then if you sell your equipment as a junk and steel, you'll get values for it. There is already an offer to us that they are ready to buy all those old jeepneys on the basis of junk steel at 100,000 thereabouts. Are we forgetting them? No, sir. But I ask the drivers and the operators, as we do not forget you, do not forget the riding public. Because you are here to have hanap buhay for them. Maghanap buhay ka, huwag kang pumatay ng buhay. And I will stand put on that. As we speak, there are efforts being done now, arresting colorum, arresting smoke belchers on a daily basis. You know, there was even a time the ticketed and the arrested, one day, 154, only in one location. What does it tell you? Something's got to be done. Something's got to be done. Something's got to go. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen of this forum, it shall be done, and I will do it. I will do it. It will be unfair if I say I. The reality is we are going to do it because we are backed up by the leadership of President Duterte. So far as the modernization program, you don't have slides on the greenways. You heard of greenways? Greenways are elevated platform, which I will put up somewhere in Ortigas, elevated with walkalator. We had a dedicated lane for bicycle. I'm finalizing now the details with the Asian Development Bank. They said that if we start, once we start, we will finish in 1.5 years. It will be an elevated walkalator with greens. It will add facility and mobility, but more importantly, it will also add beauty. Sasabihin ko ba yung lugar? Along Ortigas and Market. So that if it works, then it can be adapted and replicated in Davao. And we hope to be able to do that. There are also conversations, I have not forgotten about the cable car. We are finalizing certain details. Hopefully, I will be able to convince proponents to agree on a rate. Kasi ang problema, ma'am, yung rate. I want a rate on the cable car that is more or less parallel with the rates on the jeepney, the bus, the taxi, and everything, and MRT. I don't like a rate that is high, so that the public can benefit. So these are the things that are being done on road. I mentioned about the licenses. I mentioned about the plate numbers. How about the construction of roads? That's not also us, sir. That is the public works. The public works. So these are the things we are doing. The next is maritime. Announcement. By June 17, we will inaugurate the first ever barge terminal in the Republic of the Philippines, in Tansa, Cavite. What is that barge terminal? It will be a terminal that will be dedicated for containers, so that the containers, 20-footer and 40-footers all, that normally and daily traverse the highways of Metro Manila will no longer traverse the highways of Manila, but will travel in the waters in Cavite, going to Laguna, going to Batangas, going to Subic. That is the first ever terminal. We intend to wipe out? No. Maybe we are expecting no less than 50%. But this is the first step, where we shall be moving the containers on water rather than on roads. The first ever, and we have done this very quietly in partnership with another company that absorbed all the costs, ICTSI, and we will inaugurate it, sir, this month of June. The first ever barge terminal where containers will not be subjected to color coding or to limited time operation. Dun ho sa laot, walang color coding, and you can operate 24 hours. by barge operation. Okay ba, boss? Okay? Okay. And we have done this barely 2 years. Imagine if President Duterte will finish his term. Imagine how many more things can be done. Why? Because he has the willpower to make sure that what is good for the majority should be done. Lighthouses, most of our lighthouses, dekorasyon na lang sira-sira. But they have forgotten the reality that lighthouses are really tools for navigation. The fishermen rely on lighthouses. The lovers who cannot go somewhere else go to the lighthouses. This is not the purpose of the lighthouses. Let's go back to the fundamentals of a lighthouse, tool for navigation. And this government is committed to modernize the lighthouses. Already we have modernized a number of lighthouses very quietly, and many more will be modernized. Hindi ho namin ugali yung announce ng announce. Kasi pag in-announce mo, yung unang gagawin nila, pangit yan, hindi importante yan. Then they get involved on the details of how should it look, walang matatapos dyan. So this is how we do it. We'll be modernizing. The Philippines is an archipelago. Because it is an archipelago, it's consisting of islands. In fact, the major 3 islands is Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. We want connectivity amongst these islands. Hindi naman pwede aeroplano lahat yan. So we will create ports. As flashed on the screen, we are doing port modernization. We will create ports that will move not only people, but more importantly, food. And as we create ports, we encourage people to go into roll-on, roll-off, so that there will be a complementary effort. As we put ports, the businessmen will put roll and complementary, then we could have enhanced mobility and connectivity, not only of people, but more importantly of passengers. You can tap our web, and you can see what ports are to be opened, have been opened, will be opened in the next 4 years. This is the modernization program that we are doing. And of course, not to be outshone is what we are doing in maritime security. Believe it or not, Philippine Coast Guard is also under me. Yeah, Philippine Coast Guard. They want to make me an admiral in the Philippine Coast Guard so that I will approve all the requested budget. Biro lang yun. But we are doing a cross-program on modernization, on security. Modernization in terms of people, modernization in terms of equipment, modernization in terms of policies, modernization in terms of programs. In terms of people, we hope that when we end the term of the president, we would have put up 40,000 complement men and women of the Philippine Coast Guard. Right now, we have acquired and continue to acquire fast-moving vessels. Before, we were always outrun by the Abu Sayyaf. Mas mabilis pa yung bangka nila kaysa sa Coast Guard. Now, subukan mo kami. Because we are now requiring 30 knots, 35 knots. And the equipments are coming in. Weapons, maybe you just read on the paper about a donation by a certain government of ammunition to properly arm Coast Guard. Policies and procedure, there are policies and procedure that addresses security in the high seas. Like, for the first time, we are having a numbering system on maritime vessels, especially the fishermen. At a distance and from the plus of an equipment, we know whether you are registered or not. If you are not, you will be stopped. So these are the things that are basically being done. Again, within the horizons of barely 2 years. Are we sleeping on our job, sir? No, sir. In fact, we stayed away. Look at me. I used to be a good-looking gentleman, always fresh. Look at me now. Look at my eye bags, And that's only me. Many of the working cabinets, they have eye bags all over the place, not only on the eyes. We're not sleeping on our job. So these are the things in capsule form, what we have been doing. I have been talking for the last 1 hour or so. I'm about ready to lose my voice, especially when, I see people here. I get excited and passionate too, Ma'am. I'm losing my voice. But let me end this by saying, the job ahead in government, as mentioned by Richard, is very difficult. To say it's a thankless job, sir, that is an understatement. If this is a job, if this is a work, I assure you, I would have been gone many months back. But I do not call this a job anymore, because if I call it a job, I will resign, I will go. I call this a commitment and advocacy. That's why many in the cabinet are undertaking personal pain, personal, they sweat, they shed tears, It's so hard, it's so difficult. I should tell you this. Would you believe if I tell you I don't have aides or security? I travel alone, with only my personal driver in my family. I am not backed up by any security. I am not accompanied by any aide. I traveled alone, and many more in the cabinet are like that. I don't collect my representation expenses. Of course I collect this, otherwise my wife will get mad. We waive a lot of things, and that's not only me, a lot of members in the cabinet. But you don't know this. Why? Because you don't invite them to CEO forum. You invite them and you will hear what they are undergoing by way of sacrifices. We are sacrificing for this country and for our president. Our president, whom we know on first-hand interaction, that has a heart for the Filipino, a heart for this country. A president and a cabinet that is or abhor and shun from corruption. We do not like corruption. The president does not like corruption. I don't like corruption. I abhor it. Many days back, I fired many people. I suspended a lot of people because of corruption. Will it stop? No. Because corruption, sad to say, is embedded in some people and in some institution. Because it is embedded, it is not easy to detect. But when we detect, yayariin ko yan. And so when you speak of corruption, I ask you two things. You, the public, you, the businessmen, if you know anything, let us know. Let us know if you have documents and paper. Let us know. We will not do attributions, but let us know. And more importantly, if you don't like us to be corrupt, please do not corrupt us. Corruption is two ways. One who accepts and the other who gives. There is nobody to accept if there is no one to give. Please, do not corrupt us. Be one with us in this effort. Believe me, my president, your cabinet members, your new bureaucrats are not corrupt. If you know of any corruption, just inform us, and we will do the rest. I assure you, there will be no attribution in public. For us to be able to address corruption, we need your help. Again, we are committed to reducing procedural bureaucracies. What used to be done for 18 months is now being done on 5 months. What used to be done in 5 months is now being done in 30 days. What used to be done in 30 days is now being done in 1 day. If you have any ideas or suggestions how to continue and improve in our efforts of improving processes, let us know, please. And I hope that one day, if I may suggest, Richard, we can have an open forum. Sans of any emotions, devoid of any vested interest, and we can communicate with each other how to improve the bureaucracies in government, because we are committed to reducing processing time. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, I want you and I beg you to trust President Duterte. He has the heart of the Filipino. He has the soul and heart of the Filipino nation. He has a cabinet that has the full trust and confidence in him. But we cannot do this alone without the help of the public, without your help. Today I come to you to communicate the message. Today I come to you to ask you for your help. To all of you, good morning.